Good afternoon and welcome to the Thursday, the 2nd of January edition of Vogan's European Outlook. I want to once again wish everybody a very happy new year. I hope it's a happy one, it's a healthy one, and a prosperous one for each and every one of you. Obviously, there was no video yesterday. I did take a little day off, and if memory serves me correctly, that is the first time I've not done a video within a 24-hour period anyway, since probably early May last year. So I think I've earned my day off yesterday, and yeah, it gives everybody a little bit of a break and a bit of a break from listening to my voice all the time. But we're back at it once again. We do have a Arctic air now in place. This is the latest 2 meter temperature anomalies for the continent as of today, Thursday, 2nd of January, and it is a chilly old open to 2025. We've got the cold and average conditions extending towards the Liverpool Manchester area at the moment, and that will continue to, those blues will continue to filter further south. We've got a cold anomaly over Iberia, as you can see here, but the near continent, even the central, southern, and eastern England were running slightly above average. Temperatures holding 10, 12, 13 Celsius down here across the south. And over the next 5 days, this is the latest off the GFS ensemble showing below average conditions closer to average if you notice it around the London area. But generally we're below average through the next 5 days as seen by the model. Ireland and Northern Ireland also. The 6 to 10 day, this is the period between the 7th and the 12th of January, firmly below average with Scandinavia also included in that. But the majority of mainland Europe is actually warmer than average through the day 6 through 10. And then the 11 to 15 day, we're getting out there. Still cold than average, slightly warmer than average across Ireland and Northern Ireland, but the mainland UK, you can see here, we've still got some blues on the chart showing the below average conditions. Moving forward then, this is the latest visible satellite imagery showing the cold front drip to the south, clipping the southwest corner, but it looks as if it's slightly to the south of mainland UK. High and dry across the bulk of England and Wales. Welcome sight here with pretty much crystal clear blue skies, as is the case here in Govan in the west end of Glasgow. Ireland, the majority of Northern Ireland as well, generally clear. And then a little bit more in the way of cloud cover north of the central belt due to that northerly breeze coming down. Feeling rather cold out there, to say the least. There's a lot of ice around on the pavements as well due to the moisture that we've seen over the last couple of days. Speaking of moisture, this is the rain totals of Meteoseal and the core of wettest conditions. Obviously, we've seen the terrible flooding around the Greater Manchester area, Hogmanay into New Year's Day itself, with the major incident actually declared in the Manchester area during the course of yesterday. So our thoughts are with those folks that have been affected. A lot less in the way of rainfall. Obviously now falling mainly as snow across the northern UK, but it was a very soggy end to the year. But starting off slightly drier across northern areas, but more in the way of winteriness as opposed to rainfall. Generally, minimal rain across Northern Ireland and across the northern end of the Republic of Ireland over the last 48 hours or so, a little bit wetter across the south, but generally from mid Wales up into the north of Wales and into northwestern England, we've seen anywhere from 50 to 100 millimetres of rain falling within the last couple of days. In terms of snowfall, this is where the model of the Met Office is indicating snow on the ground. And I can pretty much vouch for this. We do have a little bit of snow even in and around the Cumbernauld area. I met up with my dad for a cup of coffee, and there was a little bit of snow on the ground. So generally, above say 50 to 100 meters, we've got some snow to speak about, even between Stirling, Dunblane, up towards Perth. We've got lion snow on the ground here. And then once you get further up into the central and north highlands, we've got more substantial amounts of snow. Nothing across the bulk of England and Wales, as you can see here in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland playthrough. We've got obviously that free discharge. We do have a little trough digging southwards during the course of this evening, so Thursday into Friday. That is going to pep up the snow amounts, especially over high ground, but even down to low levels. Even at Marfogan Weather HQ, there is a light covering of snow on the ground, and it's not that far from the Cromarty Firth. So generally quite low level snow once you get into the northern half of Scotland. But we continue to play through. This is as of 07Z Friday tomorrow morning, and you can see that we did increase the snow. So we'll go back to the here now, and over the next 24 hours or so, we will see more in the way of snow as that little feature runs that northerly airflow. But it's really as we move towards the weekend, things get rather interesting. We've got a system that moves in from the west, colder in place. In fact, temperatures during the overnight tonight, especially across the heart of England, possibly Wales as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we get -7, -8, possibly even slightly colder than that under very clear skies and light winds. But it's the stage is essentially set. That cold air is in place, and then with the next band of moisture moving in off the Atlantic, we are going to see snow breaking out across more southern areas of the UK. We've got quite a widespread risk of snow across particularly England and Wales and southern Scotland as we move through the course of the weekend. So continue to play through this loop. There's the snow now starting to show up over southern portions of Ireland, Wales, into southern England through the Midlands as well. And this could be a bit of a problem maker as we progress through the course of the second half of Saturday and the first half of Sunday. We've got quite a decent amount of snow, especially over high ground, Peak District, parts of high ground Derbyshire, and central England, the North Midlands, and then extending up towards the Leeds, Bradford, Wakefield area of North Yorkshire. We could be talking about some quite significant amounts of snow and disruptive snow, and even across Scotland as well. Generally away from the low levels of the central belt, we do have a covering of snow as of 15Z on Sunday. We'll look at the temperatures in just a second. This is obviously just off the Met Office model, but if we happen to go to other models, you can see that it's indicating something similar as well. Let's have a quick look at that before we look at the temperatures and see just how cold the modelling is expecting. So this is off the GFS model. Let's go on to the UK view, and we can see here that let me just see here real quick, pick up the right chart. So snow depth. So this is obviously as of midnight Friday into Saturday. Generally no snow north of south of the central belt. Continue to play through till midnight Saturday into Sunday, and you can see the sway of the snow mid and North Wales through the Midlands up into the north of England as well. Higher parts could receive a good 2 to 4, locally 6 inches of snow from this system as it moves through. Even parts of Ireland, especially over higher ground, equally 2, 4, locally 6 inches of snow could fall. So this is a decent snow potential, more for England and Wales as opposed to Scotland here. Generally, the biggest threat for Scotland, I think, is the northerly flow over the next 24, 36 hours or so. But it's this system snow as the moisture moves into the cold air. That is where we're expecting to see a decent amount of snow, all being well, especially above 50 to 100 meters, for example. And then as we play into the early portions of next week, you notice here there's a bit of a retreat. So there's a little bit of a melting going on here across the heart of England, even across parts of Wales also. Continue to play through. There's another little swathe of snow that kind of sets up. This is extending all the way out towards the end of next week, which is Friday the 10th of January. So yeah, we've got that snow potential as we go towards the weekend here. Let's have a look at another model and see what it's indicating, and we'll look at the ECMWF. And let's have a quick look at England and Wales in particular. I know there's some folks that get a little frustrated thinking that I'm only talking about Scotland all the time, but generally we go to wherever the weather's happening, and certainly at the moment anyway, the focus has generally been across Scotland in terms of wintry precipitation. But if we play through this loop, there's the ECMWF picking up on upwards of 20, 30, even 40. This can be overdone, it has to be said, but we're talking over 40 centimetres of snow in parts of southern Ireland, just to the south of Galway, if you notice, across this midland swathe of Ireland here, extending up into the southeast of Northern Ireland also. So certainly the ECMWF is very enthusiastic this weekend across Ireland. Skip back slightly, and it's indicating a swath generally from from mid Wales up into North Wales, with significant amounts obviously over the higher ground around Snowdonia, then across the North Midlands, generally even around 10 centimeters of snow expected, according to the ECM, around the greater Birmingham area, and then northwards up towards Manchester. We've got this swathe here, generally between Birmingham and Manchester, where we could pick up in excess of 10 to 15 centimeters of snow later Saturday and in through the first half of Sunday. Then you notice there's a bit of a retreat here, like we've seen with the Met Office model, as we go into early next week. But notice here across Northern England, and if we look at Scotland, particularly, we've got some fairly decent amounts of snow expected through. This is how it would look at the end of Sunday. And you've got some significant amounts of snow in Northern England and Southern Scotland. Actually, the biggest totals focus over Southern Scotland, generally from Central Belt southwards. Less, still got a decent covering across the majority of Scotland, but the focus of heaviest snow depths is going to be across Northern England and Southern Scotland, which is quite interesting. Going now to temperature. In fact, let's have a quick look at the track of some of these lows then, because we've not done that just yet. We'll stick to the ECMWF, and let's have a look at the Europe and North Atlantic view here. Go back to the overview chart, and then we can have a look and see what the models are indicating. So this is a very, very cold setup at the moment here. I say very, very cold. It's a cold setup. We'll leave it at that. Always trying to not hype things up, trying to have a level-headed, unbiased opinion here on the channel. I'm really striving to continue to do that. We've got lower pressure to the east. We've got higher pressure, 1038 millibars. Bang slap over the central North Atlantic. Northerly flow extending all the way up into the Arctic region. There's the cold front with milder conditions further south here. So we've got this system trapped underneath that high to the north, stuck. We've got the frontal system that marks the dividing line between cold Arctic air and something milder. So we play through this loop here, and you can see what happens. We see a little bit of a relaxing of the winds as we move Friday into Saturday. Very cold night, double digits below freezing is likely, and then in comes that system. Moisture bumps into the cold air. We see widespread heavy snowfall breaking out anywhere from mid-Wales, the upper northern portion to the Midlands, all the way up towards the central belt of Scotland with this. This is where the heaviest precip is going to be. Then that system clears out. We're back into the northerly flow once again. If we look at the 850s, you can see here that we do have some fairly cold Arctic air associated with this, if it will refresh, that is. So yeah, we're back. We're still in the cold air, as can be seen here. This is early next week, early to mid next week, in fact. And yeah, this is going to linger on, folks. I do expect to get through at least the middle portions of January. Like I said already, there will be a little bit of fluctuation back and forward between something slightly less cold and a reinforcing shot of Arctic air. We're going to get that little bit of back and forth going on as well. But generally speaking, I'm quite confident that this pattern holds through at least the middle portion of the month. Now, the ECMWF is indicating that we have something slightly milder coming in as we move towards the end of next week. But we shall wait and see what happens. Certainly that's an interesting solution there seen by the ECMWF model towards the middle portions of the month. Let's finish off by looking at the projected temperatures of the Met Office model here. So let's go to the maximum temperatures. Go back to the here and now. These are the current temperatures across the UK as of what time are we at? 1:30 p.m. on this Thursday, 2nd of January. We've still got sub-freezing across the north, but even across more southern areas where temperatures have been reasonably mild in recent times, we've only got the 2, 3, 4 Celsius, even in and around the London area, down towards Kent. The mildest conditions, South Wales, and also southwestern England, where we've got maybe 5, 6, 7 Celsius. We've got 4s and 5s across the far south of Ireland as well. Factoring in the wind chill, and this is how things are looking. So a bona fide Arctic air mass for sure across the UK at the moment here, with sub-freezing wind chills all the way down to London. Notice here -5, -6, -7, even -8 when you factor in temperature versus the breeze coming in from a north or northwesterly direction. So finally, let's have a look and see what the temperatures are projected off the Met Office model. So again, try and get rid of the advert. Let's try and include the majority of folks, because I do have a tendency, not deliberately anyway, but I do have a tendency to sometimes cut off southern UK, which is not so good if you live down in this part of the world. Notice here, this is as we move towards the overnight tonight. So once the sun drops, temperatures are going to drop big time. -10 is very possible. We've got a feature that runs from north to south during the overnight tonight, but ahead of that feature, we're going to see the temperatures really dropping off. Wouldn't be surprised if Central Highland, for example, gets close to -10 before cloud and breeze picks up from the north. You notice here that as we get to midnight tonight, we've actually got the temperature slightly rising, only to about -1 or 0, but we're going from -4, 5, and 6 early in the evening tonight, and then as the cloud and breeze picks up and snow, we're going to see the temperatures get closer to the freezing mark. But look at down across England and Wales, we're going to be talking about the temperatures down into double digits. I'm going to say double digits below freezing, but I'm talking nonsense here. I'll get there in the end. We're talking generally -5, -6, possibly a few localized -8s in and around south central portions of England. Again, sub-freezing largely through the course of tomorrow. It doesn't get above freezing in a few sheltered spots, especially with snow-covered ground. Then we do the same thing all over again tomorrow night. And then the system moves in from the Atlantic, allowing the temperatures to rebound slightly back above the freezing mark. This is later in the day on Saturday. And then you notice here that we're starting to see something milder coming in. 12s and 13s showing up by the Met Office model by the time we reach the middle portions of Sunday afternoon. Big divide here as well. 13 Celsius in the south versus -5, for example, at 15Z on Sunday afternoon. So we could see some very big contrast here. Obviously, heavy rainfall across the far south as opposed to snow. But get yourself further north. That is a really huge contrast in temperature. Let's actually look at that in a little bit more closer detail here. We're talking about 12 Celsius versus 0, probably in the space of, 50, 60 miles, which is pretty remarkable stuff, actually. I only really noticed that there now. Finally, let's have a look and see what's going on within the 10 millibar level within the stratosphere. And again, we're seeing this strong warming taking place over the Eurasia side of the pole, underneath the core of that -90, -92 Celsius at 10 millibars. You could see nacreous clouds or polar stratospheric clouds. They may be visible, possibly over parts of northern UK, certainly up towards Iceland and over Greenland, which we know there's not a great deal of people on Greenland, but you're likely to see these polar clouds overhead where that core of the PV sets up at 10 millibars. But there is a lot of stretching. There has been some sniffs by the GFS model of a bit of a split in the polar vortex, but I'm not massively over enthusiastic about that. And another reason why I'm not overly enthusiastic is when you look at the 50 millibar level, which is the lower portions of the stratosphere, and that quite often can quite nicely reflect what's going on underneath in the troposphere. And if you look at the current here and now 50 millibar level, you've got the lowest heights, the coldest temperatures within the core over Greenland and over the European side of the pole. That tends to lead to lower heights further north. You notice here that we do have a warming taking place from East Asia across the top into North America. That is not overly positive looking in terms of longer down the road. Even all the way out to 10 days from now, we've got low heights in the core of coldest over the pole here, which is not overly representative of a particularly cold pattern within the troposphere. But remember, there is quite a strong disconnect at the moment between the tropospheric polar vortex, which affects our weather directly, and what's going on within the stratosphere, where we've got quite a different story going on at the moment. So there is quite a disconnect, a decoupled strat versus trope in terms of the polar vortex. So that has to get taken into consideration. But there is so many things going on at the moment here. So that is where I encourage you to not only hit the like button and share with your friends and family to spread the word, but also hit that subscribe button as well. It would be very much appreciated indeed. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's been a reasonably long-lived video today, but trying to catch up from the rest of yesterday. And I'll be back again probably from Glasgow tomorrow afternoon as well. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you then. Bye for now.